Welcome to the many interpretations of Dunkleosteus. Dunkleosteus was a large fish that existed before the dinosaurs ever existed in the late Devonian, and it went extinct around 258 million years ago. Easily one of the most iconic fish out there, and easily recognizable from its head alone, which makes sense because the only fossil material that we have of Dunkleosteus is mostly of the head and some of the torso. Regardless, I'm very excited to get into this, so without further ado, let's jump right in. We'll start off with Chased by Sea Monsters. Nigel Marvin encounters a Dunkleosteus, which doesn't sound like a fun situation at all. I quite like the way that this one looks. I especially like how rough the skin looks on its head. As I mentioned before, we do only have like the skull and like some parts of the torso with Dunkleosteus. It is a very fragmentary animal. It doesn't seem like the rest of the body was able to preserve as well as the head was able to. That head, though, is completely covered in jointed armor, which is just absolutely insane and terrifying to think about. So that's why I really like seeing how rough the skin looks on there. The head looks fantastic. You know, I think it looks really good, and those chompers also look fantastic. Fun fact about Dunkleosteus, it doesn't really like technically have teeth. What it has is like extensions of the skull, like extensions of that plated armor that I talked about before that are very sharp, and they slide across each other to continually sharpen themselves. So they were truly a force of nature. So here's really my standard going into this video. We don't really know what the body looks like. A lot of reconstructions base it off of other placoderms, which is the type of fish that Dunkleosteus is. Placoderms are basically just like the thick-skinned fish, like the armored fish that we know of. But most reconstructions base its body off of that. But because we don't really have a solid idea, I'm not going to be looking at that too much. I'll mostly be looking at the head because we do know what the head looks like. As a result, pretty much every single depiction that we're going to see right here is oversized. There was a recent paper that was published, it's on screen right now, that introduced a new method of scaling fish. It established a new way to get the body length estimates from just the head alone, and it applied those to Dunkleosteus. As a result, Dunkleosteus was not nearly as long as we previously thought. In essence, they shrunk the dunk. Now, while its body was not nearly as long, its head was still the same size, so it's still something I would not want to come across in the water. But because all of these depictions are going to be based off of the previous estimations, they're all pretty much going to be oversized, so there's no reason for me to keep mentioning it. I'll mostly just be talking about the head when it comes to Dunkleosteus. Just know that Dunkleosteus was more so like a robust, stocky type fish rather than this elongated fish that we have seen so much over the years. But yeah, I quite like this one. I think that Walking with Dinosaurs and all of the specials have really good designs, and this one I think is another good one. There's also C-Rex, Journey to a Prehistoric World. We get a hologram Dunkleosteus. How many times do we get to see a hologram Dunkleosteus? It's not many times. It's very not that many times. It looks good here. You know, I like the way that the head looks. I think it looks fantastic. I know I said that I wasn't going to mention the body, but I like the way that its tail looks right there. I don't know. I just think that looks cool. But you can really see the bony plates on its face right here, even if it is in hologram form. And you can see those very terrifying chompers on its face. Prehistoric monsters revealed. Look at this one. This one just has an evil look in its eye. It reminds me of, you know, how Sith or just other dark side users in the Star Wars universe, whenever they really just kind of like hone in on the dark side, their eyes reflect it by turning yellow. That's what this Dunkleosteus is. This one, I think that Dunkleosteus is a Sith Lord.
A Sith Lord?
Anyway, the colors look really cool on this one. We don't often see colors like this. We have more so like an orange coloration. Most of the time I see like green or maybe grays in terms of the colors. Never anything like this, so I quite like that. That scary mouth is present, and the head overall has the same basic shape, so another pretty good one. Okay, and then there's Animal Armageddon, and just look. So okay, you guys know Weasel from like the Suicide Squad and from Creature Commandos? That's Weasel. I like it though. I like the texture of it. It looks like it's a plated, like an armor plated fish. So that was captured quite well. Just the way that the eyes are just kind of bold. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little bit too hard, but it's It's funny, man. After that is Prehistoric Assassins. Love the way that this looks. We have some counter shading on this one. The colors seem to fit an animal that was, of course, an aquatic animal. You have that dark coloration on top and then that lighter coloration on bottom. Looks fantastic. I love it. The head also looks great. You can see where it would be a little bit more armored. Those chompers are, of course, present here. The eyes look really cool too. All around, another very good design. Also, I just really like the quality of the CGI here. It just looks good. And what I really like is that you see the light kind of shining on its on the back right here. Another cool thing about Dunkleosteus is that it seems to be a type of animal that it wasn't like a deep sea animal, and it wasn't necessarily like, it wasn't towards the surface. It was more so like a middle ground type fish. So that's where it would do most of its hunting. Also, another fun fact about Dunkleosteus is that it was Earth's like first true vertebrate apex predator. Even though it's been shrunk per our current estimations, it was still a large predatory animal that was likely at the top of the food chain in the areas in which it lived. I'm telling you guys, I don't care if it's like shorter than it used to be. I would be terrified to run into this thing. Like I said, that head is the same size. It doesn't matter if it's not like, I'm saying all this because there's a lot of people who were upset that it was shrunk. But I'm just telling you that that head is still the same size. I've seen a Dunkleosteus head. Of course, there is, I believe, a replica at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. Here's a picture that I took right here. And standing right next to that thing, I'm telling you, if I was in the ocean and that thing was swimming up to me, that's it, guys. That's it. I'm not going to sit there and laugh about the fact that it's stubby. So there's river monsters, prehistoric terror Dunkleosteus. I have only ever watched like bits and pieces of river monsters. So to find out that it kind of has like a little bit of like an appearance in that show, I think is pretty cool. I know everybody like loves that show, and I've the few episodes that I've seen, I used to always like it. So all around, pretty cool that it even has like a cameo in there. Here's what it looks like. Here's what the render looks like. Love the way that this looks. This has to be my favorite so far. Again, not talking about the body too much. Like, I'm not going to be critiquing the body or anything like that, but I like the way that body looks. I love the green coloration and the counter shading that's present, and that head, they just absolutely nailed it. Really embodies the type of placoderm fish that I would not want to encounter in the seas. And I really like the eyes as well. Everything about this I really like. Leaps in evolution. So we have like a great white shark coloration going on here, which is, it's certainly interesting to see. The head looks great, but it's also kind of interesting to see how like open that mouth is. I don't know why that's so jarring to me, but that's something that really stands out right here. I love the texture of the model, and I love just the quality of the model. And yeah, that the head also looks great here. Ancient Oceans, we get this fella right here. Not much else I can say about this one. It pretty much captures everything that I've been talking about. Life on Our Planet has to be my favorite one so far. And that's probably because it's the most recent in terms of like documentaries and just show portrayals. The CGI is probably the most, like, this probably looks the best in terms of the CGI. Like, look at that armor. I like how it has little like scuffs in it or like little bite marks. That shows an animal that's been alive for a while. Love that was included there. The chompers look great. The head looks great. And again, you can tell that the head is armored. And seeing it hunt, of course, is always really cool. So they really nailed it with this one. Again, this one is probably my favorite one. Next up, we have Jurassic Park Builder, and practically everything that you would expect is present here. The head looks fantastic. You get some really cool colors with these guys. Like there's some orange coloration, which is always really cool. And yeah, no, the head and part of the torso is armored. It's got those really terrifying, like front of its jaw, but these are just another fantastic design. Jurassic World, the game, they seem to have nailed like the initial model. Like I love the way that looks. Of course, Jurassic World, the game has that little feature that you can level up your animals. And, it just exaggerates mostly the fins. Like the armor gets a little bit more bumpy and whatnot, and the teeth or the chompers. I keep calling them chompers, but, the extensions of the skull, those shears, those meat cleavers, whatever you want to call them, they become a little bit more exaggerated as well. Also, the colors are really kind of cool on this one, but not too much else I can say about that. Now we have Jurassic World Evolution 2. I love the way that these guys look in here. Like, I mean, it was kind of unfortunate timing because these guys were added like right after the new paper came out about the new size estimations. So that means they're long. But that aside, these guys are incredibly accurate. I mean, look at that face. It's kind of like it's smiling right at you. But this is a good way for me to showcase those really sharp knives that it has right there. But yeah, they're very sharp, as you could probably guess. And they kind of like slide across each other, and that sharpens them. Keeps them sharp, keeps them dangerous. They look very nice in here. The texturing looks amazing. Everything about it just looks absolutely amazing. And I think it's one of my favorite creatures in this game. Frontier really did a fantastic job with them. This over here is the El Reptiliano Mosasaur mod. I have a video on that. Be sure to check that out. That's awesome, you know? Next up, we have the Minecraft Dinosaur Era add-on for Minecraft Bedrock Edition, of course. Hey, Bloom! I always really liked the way that these guys looked, and they're actually like pretty darn accurate, at least in terms of their size. This is probably one of the only ones that we have that is accurate in terms of their size. As you know, they're just not as not as long as previous versions we've seen. They also just look really good too. You know, they capture. Oh, look, that one spawned naturally. I was trying to get that color too. There it is. Yeah, so, you know, this one has orange on the bottom, more so of green coloration on top, while the other ones are a little bit more dull. They all look really good. The head looks fantastic. I really like that little structure right there, which I don't remember that being there. Could be an update to the model, but no. I love the creatures in this game. And these guys look great. Now we have the Archetypes Dunkleosteus mod for Path of Titans, of course. This one is actually one of the few to be short, you know, be a lot closer to our current estimations. I believe the only other one that we've seen is the Minecraft Dinosaur Era add-on. At least those are the only two that I know of. You actually get to see like quite a few different species, which I think is really cool. Look how bulky this one is. I like that. You get to see some of the different species here, and they have like some variation to their models, which I think is really fantastic. When generate their colors. I've never actually played Dunkleosteus in this game. This is one that I've wanted to play for a while, and I never got around to it. What's really cool is how you have the separation of where the head and torso would be. Like right here, basically right here where you see this difference in coloration, that's all we have of Dunkleosteus. The rest, we don't really know too much. We might have some sparse fossils here and there, but to my knowledge, we don't really have much. And this is what it's like. This is what it's like to swim around as a Dunkleosteus in the Devonian, in the late Devonian. Just before you went extinct, I suppose. I like it. I really do like it. I think the animations are very well done. Let me check out some of these. It feels really naturalistic as a fish. Yeah, I like it. Let's try to find something to hunt real quick, and then I'll end this Path of Titans section. Check that out. That is a face only a mother could love. Da-da. Da-da. Oh, it's fast. Oh. Come on. Hey-ya. Gotcha. Okay. All right. This is mine now. This is my manta ray. that is the Dunkleosteus. Oh my gosh, we're gonna die. Back in what? Ark Survival Evolved looks exactly how you'd expect it to look in this game. You know, it's an armored fish. You're gonna exaggerate the armor, extra spikes and all that. Head looks good though. The head looks a lot like a Dunkleosteus head, and that's all that matters really, because that's mostly what we have of Dunkleosteus. So good, very good. So in Pokemon, there is Dracovish. My wife has told me about that a little bit. This is apparently like, they only found the head of it. Quite fitting because of the current state of Dunkleosteus nowadays. And apparently it was created by someone who just didn't really care about how they reconstructed these animals. And so the head was placed onto the body of another animal. And it's kind of like this very weird amalgamation sort of thing. Which is, you know, quite sad, really. Love the way that the head looks. It looks like a proper Dunkleosteus head, even though it's just an animal that's just like inspired off of Dunkleosteus, but they really nailed it here. And the colors are really cool as well. The blue coloration with red up here. I like it. you know, and I like how it seems like it doesn't have true teeth. It looks like it's simply just extensions of its skull. You gotta love that. And there we are. That was the many interpretations of Dunkleosteus. There are more out there. I know that for a fact. I have seen some more beforehand, like growing up, watching other documentaries and shows and stuff like that. But there was a lot that I just wasn't able to find. There's not a lot of some of the older documentaries that I'm thinking of. There's not a lot of Dunkleosteus that exists on the internet, so I was unable to find them. So if you guys have any that you want people to know about and you want people to talk about, be sure to leave them in the comments down below. But yeah, what do you guys think of Dunkleosteus? Again, I like it. I love Dunkleosteus even after the current estimations. Dunkleosteus and Spinosaurus, those are both unfortunate animals because of the fact that they've just had drastic changes over the years that kind of challenges the status quo in terms of how people view them in the public. And because Dunkleosteus was always seen as this huge, really long animal that could potentially reach up to like 33 feet, I think. People like that. People got attached to that. And so when it was drastically brought down to, I think, around like 10 to 13 feet in length, of course, people were upset about that. Which, you know, it's fine. But with me, I don't really get upset with paleontological discoveries and paleontological advancements. Dunkleosteus is still an incredibly fascinating and terrifying animal, if you ask me. Also, there are 10 species of Dunkleosteus, which is something that I did not know about. Well, some of them are probably a little bit more iffy than others, but as of right now, there are 10 species. I will have them up on screen right now. I just thought that that was pretty interesting because I didn't know that we had that many species of Dunkleosteus. It's always cool when we have like more than just like 2 species identified of a genius or a genus. I just said genius. Wow. It's always cool when we have that because that's not very common in paleontology. Like, for example, Tyrannosaurus only recently got another species assigned to it, known as Tyrannosaurus macraensis. For the longest time, we've only ever had Tyrannosaurus rex. So that's like a breath of fresh air right there. So it's pretty cool that we have that many species of this giant placoderm. So yeah, once again, be sure to let me know what you guys think of it in the comments down below. But that's pretty much all I have for this one. Thank you so much to all my patrons. You guys are truly helping out a lot, and I really do appreciate you guys, as well as thank you so much to my channel members. If you guys are interested in joining either of those, the links are down below in the description. There's a lot of really cool perks that come with my patron supporters, so I highly recommend checking that out. Channel members, you'll often get like access to videos a little bit early, which is, you know, always really fun. So yeah, that's something to keep an eye out for, I suppose. But thank you guys so much for watching and have an awesome day.